Hi, you guys. Welcome. I'm back, kind of. I was very sick, very sick, and could not kick it. So, hang on, this is really bright. Yeah, I couldn't kick it, and so my brain feels like mush, and it's been really hard to keep up with everything. So I haven't been. I've been trying to play catch up over the last couple days. I've got a few things for you that I caught that I thought were really interesting. I know there's a lot of bigger stuff that you guys probably already have so far, and we can go over it. You guys are really good at that. You guys are really good at picking up the slack that I've missed and bringing up subjects that maybe I don't have, and we can go over those things. But actually, let me turn the light on really fast in my room because it's the lighting's kind of weird. Hold on. Let's see if that's better. Ugh, these stupid eco light bulbs that take like 45 minutes to warm up kind of just makes me feel like the earth should die sooner. Jerry, I did try, well, I had ginger tea and honey, and I was doing that. There were so many really nice people sending me all kinds of homeopathic remedies and things like that, and I really appreciate stuff like that. A lot of them I was doing, but I just, once the illness hit me, it just it would not leave my system. And it was bad. I got sick. I think it was the day of the State of the Union address. And so I was literally just in bed, like rocking back and forth, moaning, like, ugh, because I really felt like I was going to die, and trying to listen to the speech. I did watch the whole thing, but it was really hard to pay attention because that was the worst day of my illness. And I was, we'll go over a lot of stuff because yeah, it's been that long since I've come to talk to you guys. But I was talking to a lot of people that either got sick this season or were talking to other people that had been sick this season, and it just seemed like it was a very common thing that it was taking people weeks to get over this. And of course, I'm sitting here looking into what's going on in China with coronavirus and seeing that they are taking people, checking their fevers, and then if they've got a fever, they throw them in the quarantine with these people that already have the virus, kind of guaranteeing that they're going to get the virus. And I'm just thinking how lucky I am that I'm not living there, because that would have been me. I was so sick. So yeah, scary, man. Okay, so a couple things to go over. Again, I don't have a ton for you guys, but I have some good stuff. I guess, like they say, 90% of life is just showing up. So here I am. I put a link to a new video from that account that I was telling you guys about before. The Awakening Greatly is the account. They have a Twitter account now too, I see, and I follow it. So if you go to my Twitter, you can probably find it from who I follow. And I retweeted the video today from somebody else, and the account is in there. They made another video that's like a 9-minute video this time. Again, just blew me away. And as I was sitting there watching it, it was really hitting me just how powerful this stuff can be when we combine the truth with all of these kind of bells and whistles that have been used against us for years and years, with the advertising and, the music and all of this stuff. All of these things are very psychological, and I feel like it's just impactful. I think it's going to speak to a lot of people that don't necessarily want to listen to, somebody like me drone on or whatever. A lot of people out there are doing all kinds of different things. And we did have people out there making, very well put together videos, but they tended to be longer. So I really think that this one's cool. This one I think is called Ask the Q. And again, it highlights the media and how they all parrot each other and are all saying the same things about Q, kind of refuse to, Star Karma, thank you so much, kind of refuse to, think outside the box when it comes to Q. So I linked that below. And then also, funny enough, Seb Gorka tweeted today. He was actually responding to somebody else, and a guy named Jonathan Gilliam. And that guy was basically saying, I support Donald Trump, but not Q. And Seb Gorka was responding to him, and he's like, right on, dude, Q is snake oil. He has used that expression before to talk about Q. Adherents are a cult. So very strong words from Seb Gorka. And I happen to have, I don't know if I would call it a theory on this, but let's just say a possibility in my mind, is that if there were people that were at a very high level of popularity, following, etc., that kind of wanted to help spread the word about Q without having people pile on them, without having to talk about it and get questioned on it when they go and give interviews, etc., etc., would it be possible that it would occur to me to tweet about it in a negative way as if you don't believe in it, but your 500,000 followers are now seeing this. And something that I see repeatedly when people do this, when big accounts, like we saw it recently with Ted Nugent too, posted something about Q, and then, and people got all excited, and then he basically went on a tirade about how he didn't believe it, whatever. It's still good for us, because you'll see after those posts that a bunch of people are under there going, what is Q? So those are great opportunities for those of us who do follow Q, who know about its legitimacy, to tag videos, infographics, certain Twitter followers that talk about this content, to open the eyes of those people. So whether he means to or not, and I don't pretend to know what Seb Gorka's motives are. At this point, I think it's very hard, save for a few people, to really say with any kind of certainty who is a white hat, a black hat, a gray hat. I think that there's really just no way of knowing, but I do see the possibility in that kind of a tactic. And even if that's not the case, even if that's not what he's intending to do, it is benefiting us, because it is the more eyes you get on this subject, the better, because Q speaks for itself. The truth speaks for itself. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, he could do that, but he doesn't have to, say such hateful things about Q followers or whatever. But if you think about it, if he were just like, I disagree, nobody would care. They would just scroll past that and keep moving. But it's the fact that he's calling it snake oil and a cult and all of this stuff that is going to make people who don't have any idea what Q is pause for a second and be like, wait, what is he talking about? So whether he means to or not, he is actually giving Q more exposure. And I think the more exposure, the better, no matter if it's coming from somebody who's saying it's snake oil or not. And then I tweeted something along those lines, and a girl wrote to me or tweeted at me and said, basically she had that idea a long time ago, and she tweeted something to the effect of that. And she tagged him in it. I think she was retweeting him, and she said it was, again, he was, I think, highlighting it in a negative way. And she said, Seb Gorka bringing awareness of Q to his 552,000 followers. Quite a few people defending Q in the comments. Who is Q? Go research yourself. Where we go one, we go all. And he liked that post or that tweet of hers. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Was that kind of a nod as in like, yeah, that is kind of what I'm doing? Or, was he, I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. So I actually linked both those tweets down below. And you can go see for yourself that he liked it. I mean, if you go to the tweet and you click on likes, you can see that he is, at the time that I looked at it, he was the only person that had liked that tweet. I don't remember when this was from. It was from a while ago. But anyway, I've got that link below. I also have it just wouldn't be another week without a really great thread by one of the people that I follow. This one happens to be a thread by Wyatt about the Canaanites. And I just thought that was good and wanted to share it with you guys. I've got a few videos here with Bloomberg in them. So the first one is from 2011, and it's this video that emerged of him saying that quote, Black and Latino males don't know how to find jobs or behave in the workplace. So obviously that does not look very good for him. And the second one, he's basically talking to a group of guys. He's sitting and he's talking about how healthcare is going to bankrupt our country. And he's, this is the quote. He says, "We got to sit here and say which things we're going to do and which things you're not, or we're not. You show up with prostate cancer. You're 95 years old. We would say, go and have a nice day, or go enjoy, have a nice day and a long life. There's no cure, and we can't do anything. If you're a young person, we should do something about it." So essentially his idea, I guess, is that at a certain age you are disposable and that we no longer should be treating you. So I wonder how we would arrive at a conclusion of what that cutoff would be, because that surely wouldn't be a mess. And then there's another clip where he basically is calling farmers stupid. And this is quite comical, because he's talking about like, oh, you know, farmers, they just plant a seed in the ground and corn pops up. But, you know, information technology is the wave of the future, and these people actually have to use their brains. I think what he says, I think what his actual quote is that those kinds of jobs take gray matter, which is completely insulting, but also very untrue. I don't know, like, okay, yeah, a person can put a seed in the ground and it can grow, but those of you that never grew up around farmers or talked to farmers or ever tried to farm something yourself or have a garden, it is very intricate. It is very complicated. It is not easy to do, and you have to be very well-rounded. And you know, it's not just about putting seeds in the ground. You have to like rotate soil and rotate your crops so that certain acidities and all of this stuff, it's very intricate. So I think he's just, not only is it insulting, but it's just downright wrong. And then there was another video of when he was giving a speech, and a protester came up and stuck a sign to his podium that says he protects racist systems. So these people, and then, oh, I didn't put a link to this, but last night I came across an ad that he just put out about Bernie Bros, basically, and talking about how he's just kind of flashing a bunch of tweets and things from Bernie supporters that are really kind of hostile and demeaning, and that thread was actually really kind of funny to go through and read the comments to it and see the dynamic right now that is happening within the Democratic Party. And these people do not play along, they do not get along well. They do not play well together. And it's going to be very interesting to see, like, if Bloomberg, for example, gets the nomination, the Bernie Sanders people hate him. And then Bernie Sanders, if he were to get the nomination, you have a lot of Democrats out there that cannot even fathom backing a socialist. So, so it's just very interesting to see. And, you know, we had a brawl breakout at the Bernie rally the other day. Was it last night? I don't even know. My days are messed up. Where you had, actually it was a black guy wearing a shirt that said "Black Guns Matter." And then somehow the scuffle was over that shirt. I remember seeing the article about it last night, not knowing anything about these two people, and then I saw the video about an hour ago for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, it's a black guy. And what are the odds, like, what are the odds that the white guy that's attacking him was like attacking him because he's not being sensitive to Black Lives Matter or something just completely asinine like that? So you had these guys getting into a fight at the Bernie Sanders rally. I saw a lot of people making a big deal out of the fact that I think he had 5,000 people there. It was Colorado. I think that's to be expected. I don't think that it was also a free concert. I think that's something to take into consideration. When Trump gives these massive rallies and there are thousands upon thousands of people there and thousands of people waiting outside who can't get in, he doesn't have to prop it up with a band or some kind of entertainment for these people that some people would go to. So, you know, anyway, even if Bernie wasn't there. Yeah, Bernie Sanders, I think okay, everybody's kind of comical to me, Bernie Sanders included. I think the only reason why he worries me the most is just because it is terrifying to me that there are people that actually are openly backing socialism in our country, and people that I once knew that would at least keep that, close to their chest and like, no, I'm not a socialist, but this person has good ideas or whatever, are now openly saying like, yeah, I'm a socialist. No, I know people that are literally saying, yeah, I'm a communist. um, it's really ridiculous. And I've also talked to people that are from communist nations, socialist nations, that actually escaped to the United States to get away from them. And I would love to just put these people in a room together. But at the same time, I don't really have the faith in those people that I know, at least particularly in these people that I know, that it would even get through to them. So that's the only reason why Bernie Sanders, I guess, it's just a clown show. To me, it's a clown show. And all of these people, it's almost like a lot of us are just kind of waiting to find out who the nominee is, to be like, okay, we're going to bring out all of this dirt. I mean, things get splashed here and there, but so many, a lot of us, I think we're sitting there waiting for Joe Biden to be the guy, because there's so much that we can just pile on that makes him look terrible once, he gets the full attention. Right now, everybody's kind of getting a little bit of it. So we'll see how that goes. So Corey Feldman has a documentary coming out. And we have been hearing about this at least I have been hearing about this documentary for a long time. He's kind of been flirting with the idea of, that's a terrible word to use for this, but he's been kind of, hinting that he was going to be doing this. And he has he's said a couple things publicly and tried to get some stuff out publicly about the abuse that he and Corey Haim suffered when they were children in Hollywood. And so he said that he had made a promise to Corey Haim that if you die first, I promise I will make this documentary, I will get this knowledge out there. And so what he's doing, actually, the name of the movie is called Corey Feldman's My Truth. I hate that. My Truth: The Rape of the Two Coreys. I just don't like I hate when people say my truth, because the truth is the truth, and that's like something they say on the Real Housewives of every single city. But my truth, and it's my day. Anyway, so that's the name of the movie, and it's going to be presented as a streaming live global pay-per-view premiere. So it's going to air one time that everybody will have to watch it at the same time, which I saw a lot of people kind of giving him hate on. Number one, the fact that it's pay-per-view. I see a lot of people that are like, well, he should be doing it for free if, this is information that people need or whatever. I don't believe that. I don't believe that just because it's important information that he necessarily has to do this work for free. He made a movie. He's probably going to need protection. I think that people deserve to get paid for their work. Whatever. But also there's something psychological about making people pay for it. And anybody that owns a venue or is a promoter can probably tell you that if you have a free concert versus if you throw a concert where people actually have to buy tickets, you will more likely get more attendance to the event that people have to pay for. And, there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that if you made this movie free, people will just they'll make a mental note and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that. But if they go and they buy the ticket, they pay the $20 to watch it when this movie comes out, then they're probably going to be more likely to sit down and actually watch it when they get the chance to. Also, the fact that he's doing it as a live event one time, I think is pretty genius, because we know that how infiltrated every single major platform is. If you're talking about Netflix or YouTube or anything, if you have something and you want to get it to the masses, it's got content that these people don't want other people seeing, it's very hard to put it out. There aren't really a lot of really great options. I saw some people saying, well, he should just put it on his own website. Well, do you know how easy it is to take down a personal website that just belongs to somebody, to do a DDoS attack and whatever. Netflix is probably out. You've got people like Susan Rice sitting on the board of Netflix. All of these people are in cahoots together. So putting it out this way, if they tried to cut it off, if you've got literally people around the globe, it's going to play all at the same time. So there's like going to be a conversion chart on the website that'll show you what time it plays in your part of the world. Everybody will be watching it at the exact same time. If they tried to cut it off at that point, it would actually just put a spotlight on it more. And if they did it another way where they just let people watch it whenever, eventually it could get taken down, and the people that hadn't seen it yet just wouldn't get to see it. So I actually think there are a few reasons that this is a really great way to do this. Now, as far as what the content will be, or how much exposure this is going to give, or how much truth is going to be in this, that's just going to be a wait and see kind of thing. Obviously, I'm really hoping that he goes there, he gives every bit of the information that he knows. Hopefully he knows a lot, and not just, you know, beyond his own experience and Corey Haim's experience. I'm betting he probably does. He was in Hollywood for a very long time. He remains in Hollywood to this day. You know, I've seen him around a lot, and I do think he knows some stuff. There also is an element, though, with things like this, unfortunately, people who have been through this kind of abuse also have typically suffered a lot of mind control, or and they don't always make the best choices, even though they are really trying to. And I think we saw that a lot with Michael Jackson. I'm of the opinion that a lot of his weirdness just came from what he had been through. I don't think any one of us can even claim to begin to know what it was like to be Michael Jackson, and growing up as this child and all of those things. And, you know, obviously there were a lot of things that he did that look very questionable to your average person, and hanging out with children and all of that. But I do think there was an element, he just was completely out of touch with reality. So we'll see. That is March 9th at 8 p.m. Pacific is when that documentary is going to air. But I believe you have to buy the ticket for it, or buy the pay-per-view for it, on February 22nd, I think. So we shall see. There is also a thread below about Barry Soetoro, or Obama, as some of us know him, and kind of his origins. By The Punisher did that thread, and it was a really good thread. Just to kind of keep in your pocket. I know a lot of us know a lot of those things about him, but even just to revisit, I remember I retweeted it, and then somebody commented on it and asked the question, wait, was he really related to the Bushes, or was that a conspiracy theory? And that's actually true. They're cousins. They are blood related, and he's related to Dick Cheney. And I think there was this whole story that was even on the news. There was some 12 or 14-year-old girl that did a school project where she was tracing the lineage of all of our presidents, and found out that they were all, or like all but one or two, blood related, which is, that's something. What a coinky-dink. So anyway, go check out that thread. Really good. Prince Andrew is friends with yet another tycoon facing child rape charges. And these pictures just came out of him visiting this guy's island when I think 2000, and I didn't write it down. Maybe it might have been from like 2001, 2011, something like that. So fashion mogul Peter Nygaard, 77, is alleged to have invited 10 girls to his lavish estate under the guise that he would help them with their modeling careers. A lawsuit filed in the Southern District of New York, what are the odds, yet again, claimed that Nygaard plied his subjects with alcohol and drugs before they were violently assaulted, raped, and sodomized. And there are pictures of Prince Andrew and his then wife, Fergie, visiting this guy. He's obviously friends. How many people do you have to be close with that do these kinds of things? I was gonna say, and have it be normal. It, like, literally not one person is normal. If you weren't catching on, especially with, we had what's her face the other day, who was it? McCain, say we all knew that Epstein was doing these things. I don't buy for a second that Prince Andrew didn't know that Epstein was who he was. Oh, did you guys see the book that William Barr's dad wrote? I think it's called Space Relations. And there's a very interesting connection between Bill Barr's dad and Jeffrey Epstein. And from my memory, this is kind of loosely, the school that Epstein worked at, that he got his start, Bill Barr's dad actually hired him there, and I believe he was fired not long after that. So that's kind of interesting. Epstein ended up kind of apprenticing or working under this man at the school that was turned out to be a pedophile. What are the odds? Later on, there was a girl that came out and said that, you know, she came from a not very well-to-do family, that this man told her family that he would get her into this really prestigious school and she could live with him and, you know, clean the house or do odd chores in order to, you know, whatever. And lo and behold, he was abusing her the whole time. Anyway, actually, I think Amazing Polly did a really great dig on that. I don't have that link for you guys, sorry, because I wasn't planning on talking about this. But anyway, around this time, Bill Barr's dad wrote a book about like human trafficking in space. And I tried to buy it the other day. I went to Amazon and it was like $145 or something like that. But that happened to me with the Fritz Springmeier book. For my birthday, last year, I was like, I want to, you know, the CIA website put up the Fritz Springmeier, somebody can help me out, they put it up on the CIA website. So it's actually up there in the PDF form, but I like to own books, you guys know that. And so I was like, I want to have this book. It's a part of history. For me, it's easier to read than reading on a computer screen or my phone screen. So I wanted to order it, and it was nowhere to be found. It like supposedly is banned, but you could supposedly get it on Amazon. So I went on Amazon, I purchased it. It was like $300 and something. I know, ridiculous. But I was like, I'm gonna treat myself. And like a month later, I was thinking to myself, whoa, that book never showed up. So I went to check it out on my Amazon account. No record of it being purchased at all. And usually on Amazon, if something's out of stock or they refund you or something happens with an order, it'll still show the order and the order number and you know, and just say that the order had been canceled. But Bloodlines of the Illuminati, thank you, Jeff. But yeah, it was nowhere to be found on there. So that was very suspicious to me. Why does Amazon even have it listed as something that they're selling if they won't allow you to buy it? Yes. Yeah, I can't read on screen. Although I'm so used to reading on screen now that, like, I remember last year I was reading a book and I had the book in my hand and I actually, because I couldn't see a word very well, I took my fingers and I went like this. I was like trying to make it bigger because I'm very bright. Get the Kindle Unlimited, $10 a month, all books digital. I have a friend that was actually trying to talk me into that. I'm considering that, but I like to own books. I like to have them I like to be able to pick them up and put them down and save a page. I don't know, there's just something about the like tangible whatever of reading a book. I like the smell of books. I like to read them in the bathtub. I would worry about having a Kindle or anything electronic in the bathtub, so. Then there is this was actually really great. This was a thread that CJTUTH put out about kind of what's happening. He was putting it out as, you know, all these people that are saying, you know, nothing's happening, getting very complacent, which we obviously all see all the time. So that's why he was doing this thread kind of showing us like No, look, actually, if you're really looking, a lot of stuff is happening, but I thought this is great because I was so far behind that this is a great little Cliff's Notes of what I missed. So he says, do you think nothing is happening? You might want to think again. A week in review. Do you remember when Q wrote on Sunday, February 9th, Justice, Q? So what has happened since Q said this? So this is obviously, from last week. Chinese telecommunications conglomerate Huawei and subsidiaries charged with racketeering conspiracy and conspiracy to steal trade secrets. I just remembered I had a dream about Huawei last night. Jussie Smollett indicted with 6 charges for his hoax of hate crimes. Justice Department launches legal assault to roll back sanctuary cities. AG Barr announced that Giuliani had turned over to them investigative information about Ukraine corruption with former administration. Trump goes on a Twitter spree highlighting that nothing ever happened to the crimes Tony Podesta did. That was very exciting to me. I did see that Trump was tweeting about Tony Podesta, and I was like, doo-doo-doo-doo. Trump torches corrupt judge Berman Jackson about injustices about Manafort, but gave HRC a pass. Michael Avenatti found guilty of all charges. Roger Stone's sentencing evaluated by AG Barr as being outrageous. 9 years for lying, when rape is only 3 to 5 years. That is crazy. And the 4 corrupt Mueller investigators all resigned. And a quote from AG Barr, I'm here to announce the indictment of Chinese military hackers for breaking into the computer systems of the credit reporting agency Equifax and for stealing the sensitive personal information of nearly half of all American citizens. Trump White House fires Alexander Vindman. Trump White House fires Gordon Sondland. Trump National Security Council removes 70 former Obama holdovers, and with maybe more coming. Graham sent a letter to Attorney General William Barr on Friday asking that he make 17 officials, many of whom are identified only by title, available for interviews. Durham scrutinizing John Brennan's handling of Russian interference in 2016. AG Barr installs outside prosecutor to review case against General Flynn. Amid turmoil, Roger Stone case and refusal to charge Andrew McCabe at the USAO-DC at the AG. The AG has sent outside prosecutors to review politically sensitive cases. Did I see the theory about the hidden message in the Joaquin Phoenix's speech at the awards? Yes, I did see that, and I thought that was very interesting. Basically, there was I can't remember, I think it was a thread that a guy did where he was talking about kind of breaking apart the speech that Joaquin Phoenix gave, and as if he were speaking in code. He did this whole kind of thing about animals and the way humans treat animals, and that we impregnate them against their will and take their babies and kill their babies and all of this stuff. And he was kind of saying it along the lines as, this elite class that actually think that they're a different race of human being. Whether we believe that or not does not matter. It's what they believe. And so they see us as a lower race, or almost like animals or cattle. And then there was this whole thing about a quote from his brother, River Phoenix, who he kind of went into redemption, and obviously a lot of people have made a connection between River Phoenix, the age that he died, blood sacrifices that happens in with these donkeys, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. I watched some of that, but couldn't really stomach it. I saw that it was the lowest viewership since 2012, I think, which is exactly what we would expect to see. I know I've said this a million times with other award shows and other entertainment thingies, that as people continue to wake up, they will be less and less tolerant of, number one, getting lectured at by these elite people, but number two, they're not going to care anymore. They're not going to care even about the movies that these people are making. Even people that are very into the making of movies, the art of, cinema and storytelling and all of that. Once you start to kind of see beyond not only what is actually happening in Hollywood, but the truth is far more interesting than anything that these people can put out. And then also once you start seeing that everything has a spin to it, more and more people are just going to be over it. They're not going to care. They don't care what celebrities are saying anymore. They don't care what actors and actresses or directors or all of these people that get together and get in gowns and pat themselves on the back and tell us how we should be living our lives while they take private jets here and there. So yeah, we will be seeing less and less of that. Kuntz mentioned Wuhan. Yeah, I did see that in a novel that he wrote. I don't know what the year was from that novel, but I did see that he wrote a story about this disease that takes over called the Wuhan 450 or something like that, that originates in Wuhan, China. And it is very similar to the coronavirus, what he talks about. So that was interesting. Funny how everyone at the Oscars was not impressed by Lose Yourself by Eminem. They were like, who is this? Not a fan of Eminem's new stuff, but love that song. Hey Kate, where have you been? I have been sick. I have been in bed. Yep, in bed. That's it. You heard that was fake. What, the Kuntz book? Kate's been ill. Kate's been very ill. Sam Tripoli on Tinfoil Hat Podcast has a new shirt that says, I killed Jeffrey Epstein. Show you a hard copy of the book? Oh, okay, you mean that one. Yeah, I don't know. I only saw pages of it. But I've been seeing that for a month. And I just saw pictures of it today. But somebody else brought that up to me at least a month ago. Or, yeah, probably a month ago now. I'm impressed Eminem lost all the weight. That's about it, though. Did he have weight to lose? I don't remember him ever being heavy. Check out Underground War happening now. Pretty crazy. I don't know what that is. I adored Joaquin's performance. He knows so many secrets dating back to Rob Reiner and his brother River. I would venture to say, yeah, he probably does know a lot of weird stuff. His upbringing was strange. He grew up in a cult himself with his family. His parents were like big time hippies. They were actually connected to my family, like friends of friends. So we would hear, stuff about them. We had, small connection, not anything to really know anything about that family. But I do remember my mom thinking back then, okay, that family's kind of weird. We're not gonna be around them. And that was right at the height of River Phoenix's success. And yeah, there are, obviously, again, Joaquin is like giving this lecture, telling us how to live or whatever, but he does give these little interesting sound bites every now and then that make me kind of wonder. He does seem like at his core, he might be a good person, a pretty good person, like he got huge and stuck on opiates bad for a while. I'm assuming you mean Eminem. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, he's not that cool in my book, Eminem. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much. Yes, I am feeling loads better, but I'm still exhausted. I felt like I had mono, which I didn't have mono, but that's just how I felt, just like really lethargic. I kept thinking like, oh, I'm feeling a little better, and tricking myself into thinking like I could get up and like start my day, and I was like winded by the time I got to my kitchen. It was very scary. Wasn't Corey Feldman coming out with the documentary soon? Yep, we went over that. It comes out March 9th, and you can buy it on February 22nd, I think. I did put a link to the website where you can go to get the... I'm definitely going to watch it. Again, I have no idea if it's going to be what we hope it's going to be, but I'll watch it either way. Maybe I'll do a live that night after it ends and tell you guys about it for those of you who don't want to buy it and watch it. But what's your thoughts on coronavirus? Also glad you're feeling better. Thank you. My thoughts on coronavirus are that I don't know. I think that it's I know a lot of people talking about saying that it's just like a diversion tactic or whatever. I don't think it's just that. I think it's very serious. I don't think it's something that we need to be panicked about, but you know, definitely it's sad to see what is happening in China. It is very much highlighting what's going on over there, which is important. It's getting eyes that wouldn't necessarily be on China to highlight what is, you know, going on over there, which is, you know, just crimes against humanity. And it's interesting to start seeing our dependency on China, their products, medicines, things like that. Big Hair Tsunami, trip code, Big Hair Tsunami, comms, marker, drops, proof, 17, confirmation, followed, think, anons, we are the news now, storm before the bigger storm, biblical, stand by. I love it. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, our dependency on, you know, Chinese goods. And I even saw Apple is in trouble, which I don't really care about that, but with, you know, a lot of their manufacturing goes on in China. And so it's not a good thing, definitely, because so many people are getting sick and dying and all of that. But that is, I guess, if you could say a silver lining, is to start getting people to realize the atrocities that are happening in China, and do a live after Corey. I have to work. Oh, thanks, Jeff. So yeah, it's important for us to understand what is happening with you know, China, because they will basically use and abuse their citizens, and labor is peanuts over there because they don't care about the well-being of these people. It's very easy for them to undercut the prices of whatever we can make here in America or even in other countries. And so a lot of our business goes to China. And you know, that expression, vote with your dollars, obviously it is not the fault of the Chinese people, and you don't want to punish them, but at the same time, if you are supporting these systems that keep them impoverished and slaves and having no rights, and then you're kind of part of the problem. So I don't know what the answer is, but it's just very sad to see. There are a lot of really great accounts out there that are highlighting what's going on in China. There's one account I can't think of that's doing a lot. Like, that's all they do is focus on what's going on in China. When I come across that again, I'll post it for you guys. But you know, Epic Times, that media company, does a lot of, you know, they started out as a Chinese speaking media company because they were basically the only one that was telling the truth about what was going on in China. So they have a lot of information going on in China. I trust their sources. I trust them as a media company. So they're a good source to look at when you want to know what's going on with that. Credible threats. Your life is in danger. Discussing Q and deep stank. Think body doubles. Kim Jong-un, Saddam, Ginsburg, Hillary. I will undergo $14.6 million in plastic surgery. Where we go one, we go all. Extreme makeover. The Kate Awakening edition. I love it. That's good. That's good stuff. Oh, Rob is in here. Rob, Epic Times is the China source. Yeah, but you also know of, you know who I'm talking about, the guys that have the YouTube channel that basically focus on China. Glad you are here, and if you could help with that, that would be awesome. People fought the first wave of antivirals. Same drugs allegedly led to, I can't say, cytokine, or no, cytokine storm and heart attack. The worst is when I try to pronounce a word and I'm like, oh man, what is this? What is this foreign word I've never seen before? And then it ends up just being a misspelling. I've noticed that the numbers compared to the normal flu fatality rate doesn't make sense. I also find it strange that CT scan is the best way to find carriers. Yeah, there are a lot of strange things about it. I saw HIV drugs are working on it, and that it has something like, I saw both. I saw 26 and I saw something like 42-day incubation period, and or you guys know what I mean. And it's very odd. And the fact that it came from a city that has 2 huge bioweapons facilities where this is literally what they do there, is create these kinds of things, which, how is that allowed to happen? It's crazy. Which is also why I think the Kuntz book isn't that crazy, even if that's real, because if you are a researcher and a novelist and you want to put truth and, you know, build stories off of true things, then you would, you know that those facilities were there. It would actually be something that wouldn't be so far-fetched to write a book about, because yeah, just wouldn't be. One thing I was confused about is on China Uncensored podcast channel, they were talking about a vaccine that we need to help and laughing at channels who were against vaccines. Well, what's that whole thing, like create the problem, then create the solution or whatever? I find it very convenient that they would have a vaccine that quickly. Yeah. Hillary denied Bloomberg. Did we talk about that yet? No. Okay, so the latest thing I saw, I had saved that, you know, Bloomberg was considering Hillary as a running mate, but then there was new news that I saw that said that his campaign was basically saying that wasn't true. There was the old Clinton, what was he, an advisor? And somebody can help me with his name, that tweeted the other day something like, if Bloomberg is going to take Hillary on as a running mate, he better get a taste tester or whatever, like basically saying that his food's going to get poisoned, which I thought was very interesting, coming from a former Clinton advisor. Bloomberg is a freaking weirdo. Yeah, he is something. Yeah, and some channels have a lot of helpful info, but on some parts like vaccines, they are a bit in the dark. That's just one of those topics that is very polarizing. And I wouldn't say I am necessarily on one extreme, but I will say that I used to be on one extreme, and I have kind of moved to the other direction a whole lot just based on my research. And I'm not anti, pro, whatever. I am just pro, like, research. Like, not only more research by the company, like by, you know, outside companies that are going to do honest research into these things, but also in people not just trusting the authorities on, especially when a lot of these authorities are actually making money from putting these in you. So transparency, that's all I want. That's all I ask for. Thoughts about Ohio University. So, what's her name? Caitlin something. She's the gun girl. Went there. I'm not entirely clear on the story, so I could be wrong on this. From what I saw, it looked like she showed up there to talk or do whatever. She did not let police, campus police know that she would be there. She didn't, you know, let anybody prepare. And basically what ensued was exactly what you would think would happen. It was mayhem. There were people just swarming her, throwing water, throwing hot coffee. When she jumped into a truck finally, they were beating on the truck, you know, yelling things at her. It was a big mess. So a couple things about this. One is that, you know, it doesn't, I don't really even know that much about her in particular, but that doesn't matter, because you don't need to know what somebody is about in order to, when you have a moral compass, to in order to see what's right and what's wrong. And no matter what somebody is saying, no matter how crazy, outlandish, or even, you know, scary, whatever it is, there's no reason to harm their person or their property. That's not a correct response. And so I thought that was wrong. I saw people commenting on videos of that happening, saying like she got what she deserved. She was asking for it by being there. I will say that I don't really like that tactic. I don't like the tactic of, you know, I'm pretty sure she knew what was going to happen when she went there. I am just not a fan of that, although I do see that it is helping to highlight what's going on. I do think what's going on is pretty clear. And, you know, it was upsetting to me to see police officers just standing there as these people are getting stuff thrown at them, and they're getting their car punched, and they're getting toilet paper thrown at them. I saw, you know, just stuff getting thrown everywhere. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I really know about that situation. And it's unfortunate that people have to get so ugly because they don't believe in what you're saying, or they think what you're saying is dangerous or whatever. There is, you know, there are appropriate reactions to that. And if somebody's saying crazy things, one of the best things if you are feeling enraged like that by something that somebody is saying, the best thing for you to do, honestly, is probably just to walk away and ignore them. But if you are feeling like you're capable of being cool, calm, and collected, to, you know, argue with them, argue their points, you know, get them to explain themselves better, and get to a place where you can either come to agreement or highlight how crazy it is what they're saying is. But there's just a complete lack of self-control, people being celebrated for doing that. Like, people have just completely lost their moral compasses. They would not, like, the fact that there were people that were like, well, she says this, so she deserved it. Can you imagine seeing somebody getting assaulted and thinking that it would be necessary to go up to them and be like, excuse me, sir, I see that you are getting brutally attacked right now, but I just want to know, who did you vote for, and what do you think about, you know, this point in history or whatever? That's insane. There's right and there's wrong. And yeah, we don't like what everybody says. We don't, you know, by supporting the First Amendment, not even the First Amendment, she wasn't even speaking, just by supporting somebody not getting assaulted by groups of people. That's it, you know? Oh, my ears started ringing really bad. And we're back. People are conditioned and socially programmed to respond to opposite opinions with hatred and violence. Child psychology, adult children. Respect differing opinions. It's not yours, so stop getting ragged. You know, it's no wonder that these things are happening on school campuses either. It's very scary what's going on in our school systems, and not even just in our colleges anymore. They are trying to turn children into activists these days, and that's something that we shouldn't be putting on children. I remember actually when I was in, I don't even know what grade it was, but when the Bush-Dukakis election was going on, there was somebody in my class was drawing something. I lived in California, and the state bird is the quail. And so somebody drew a picture of a quail, and there was a bush behind it. And so somebody pointed out that it was funny that they drew a picture of bush and quail. And it kind of, like, somebody in the class was kind of like, well, my mom voted for this person, my mom voted for this person. And I remember it being kind of tense and weird for a second, and it made you kind of stop and look around at the kids in your class kind of differently, like, oh, like, are we against each other now? It was a very weird sensation for a child. And I think that is a terrible thing to do to kids, especially because they don't know anything yet. They're just parroting whatever bad ideas they are hearing from the television or their parents or whatever. And I think it's very irresponsible and kind of cruel and bad for kids. Ears ringing may be a symptom of cosmic energy download, just saying. I actually got sick last year and lost the hearing in this ear because it was so stuffed up for a month, and I've actually had ringing in it kind of since then. Sometimes it's worse than others, but I'm falling apart, guys. Falling apart at the seams. Nothing to do about that. Voting age to 24 ASAP. Kids are like, I like your hat, let's be friends. Exactly. Exactly. I don't think kids naturally pit themselves against each other or start putting people into categories until they get taught to do that. That is true, Mythical. That is the rule. If you're gonna troll, it has to be funny. That's it. Well, and you can't also write in all caps or do a ton of emojis or just like be annoying. But you can say whatever you want in here as long as it's funny and not racist or gross. Ears ringing can be a sign of magnesium deficiency. Interesting. Please, can everyone just stock up their cupboards with what? My kid likes Trump because she thinks he's funny, and at her school, her friend pretends to be him. She's 8. That's cute. Left ear equals negative greetings. Right ear equals positive greetings. Great. Great. Of course. Woe is me. What I take for ear pain is organic raw eggs and garlic. CoQ10. No thanks. On the raw eggs and the garlic. I'm actually like my mother hates garlic. So I didn't have garlic until I was like 11 years old. I think is the first time I had garlic. So I'm kind of touch and go with garlic. And the fact that people like put it in their ears when they get ear infections, I've heard that works great, and it just grosses me out completely. I'd almost rather my brain fall out and my ear fall off than do that. God is calling me. Okay. Hello? Grandma, is that you? Gotta call you back, Grandma. I'm right in the middle of something. Yeah, but I was getting a lot of colloidal silver. I already take that. Actually, a lot of the things that people were telling me, I was like, oh gosh, I already have all those things, and I feel cool. A lot of them. But it's just like if I were to take all of the supplements that people were telling me to take, I wouldn't have any room in my stomach for food. Take garlic oil pills. Yeah, but do you like reflux it and like burp it up? Because I can't. I actually started taking, I used, the fish oil supplements. They were working well for me, but even the like burpless kinds, every once in a while you're just like, oh, that taste. So I started taking, see, I'm getting like sympathetic burps right now. I started taking acai, omegas, whatever's, powder form, which is like 1,000,000 times better. I don't even know if they're necessarily the same thing, but that's what my doctor recommended that I take. And so I was stoked to not take the fish oil anymore. How much colloidal silver makes you blue? I think it's quite a lot. I think it would be quite a lot. I think what they sell now is in such a low concentration that you would almost have to be trying to intentionally turn yourself blue, and in order to do that, I don't think that it would just happen to you. Doesn't Wi-Fi cause ear ringing too sometimes? Yeah, that would make sense. You could mix the garlic pills with a cup of very warm spaghetti sauce. I would still taste it. You can't fool me. Dawn, I see your question. I am not going to answer it out loud because of reasons, but I've actually put a link in one of my previous videos to that. Hang on, guys. Let me, actually, you know what? Funny enough is that Jordan Sather, if you, on Instagram, posted where to get it today on his Instagram story. I saw it just before I went live in here. So if you're on Instagram, go to his, oh shoot, was it, I know he has 2 accounts now. He's got his regular one, and then he's got like a health consciousness, conscious health might be the other one. I think it was on his main profile that he just put it in his story, and you can get that thing that you brought up on that website. But you can also just Google it and find places to get it. I got some on Amazon one time, believe it or not too long ago. Well, it's probably like a year and a half ago now. And funny enough, it completely disappeared from my house. Not to get all tinfoil hatty on you guys, but I swear to God, I ordered it from Amazon. I know exactly what the bottles look like. I put them in this particular bag. I know exactly where I stuck them in my cupboard, and I went to look for it a couple months ago, and it was just completely gone. So it's weird. Maybe somebody was going, because they're not very clear. It doesn't, you know, it's very hard to tell what they were. They almost look like they could be like dog medications or something like that. So it is possible somebody just, you know, threw them away, not knowing what they were, including myself. It's not borax, no. No. It's still on Amazon. Just get the water purification tablets. You take over 20 supplements a day. That's impressive. I was taking things like mushrooms, not hallucinogenic mushrooms, but certain kinds of mushrooms and certain like greens powders and things like that. But then I went to an they would make me want to throw up, and I was like, oh, I guess I just have to get my body used to them. But then I went to my acupuncturist and was talking to her about them, and something about my particular body chemistry, those things don't work. So I do think there's a lot of trial and error when it comes to supplements. Some things that are miracle workers for some people are not necessarily going to work for your body, unfortunately. So it's also really important that when you are going to try something new, some kind of new supplement, to not only do a lot of research before you start taking it, but to always take one thing at a time. Take it for a couple weeks. Don't ever start multiple things the same day or the same week, because if you start having a reaction to something, you're not going to know what's causing it. Ouch. My foot. It's that time of the program. Oh, I also wanted to mention that tomorrow night I will be on the 5x5 network at 7 p.m. Eastern. That is the last link that I put down below. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Check that out. When was it? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I got to go on Patriot Soapbox with Coach Clay. That was really awesome and a lot of fun. I remember when I first started finding out about Q and researching Q, I found Patriot Soapbox and I was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And I would literally just have it on my TV. I would go on the YouTube app on my TV and just have it playing like all the time. And that was a really exciting time when Q was doing like 1 million drops a day. And that was fun stuff. So anyway, when I got asked to be on that, I was really excited. And it went great. I felt like we could have talked forever. It was interesting. We ended up getting into a lot of the hypnotherapy stuff, and I always forget. I know I find hypnotherapy extremely fascinating. Like I could talk about it endlessly, but I always kind of forget that a lot of other people find it really fascinating too. And I've kind of planned on doing a video on hypnosis, on hypnotherapy, but I almost think that this kind of a format where we could go back and forth would be better, so that you guys could ask questions and I don't just go off on tangents of things that people don't care about. So maybe we will do that one day. Turkey tail is one of the mushrooms I was taking, yes. I guess they use chlorine dioxide to clean bacteria out of water. Yeah, it was what they would put, they would, you know, sell it at, you know, camping stores to put in, to make potable water for people that were camping or whatever. And that's actually how they accidentally discovered some of the things that it could do, because, you know, they were giving this water to people with malaria and stuff like that. It's really interesting. I suggest you guys look it up if you haven't heard of it before. Set up a hypno chat. Let's go do some hocus pocus on you guys. No, I would never do that. I was thinking of something the other day, though. Obviously, when you hypnotize somebody, you are conditioning them to the suggestions that you're giving them or whatever. One of the things in hypnosis, it's very important to make sure you bring somebody out completely so that they're not walking around hypnotized. It's not like that movie Office Space. It's not exactly like that. But it's still not good to walk around in a hypnotic state. Actually, we call those people somnambulists, and people that are usually very intelligent tend to be somnambulists because they are massively overloaded by information. They're kind of analyzing things in a bunch of different ways. But one of the things that I would do to myself is the tail end of hypnosis. You go 1, 2, 3, eyes open, wide awake. And I would say that to myself every once in a while when I could kind of feel like myself in this kind of lulled haze and try to snap myself out of it. And I always wondered, like, if you just kind of put that over a loudspeaker to the entire planet, if it would actually do anything to people that are kind of walking around in that state. Past life regression, very interesting modality. Videoed so you could see if they front load you with suggestions. Past life regression is really why I got into hypnotherapy, although I ended up doing, you know, treating all kinds of things with it. But I think more and more, especially now, because I got certified 9 or 10 years ago, people weren't as open, or not a lot of people knew as much about or cared as much or were open to the ideas of past lives or whatever. And I feel like there are so many people that are into that now, especially in the circles that I travel in. So yeah, there was a part of me that wanted to just do past life regressions, that's it, full time. But at the time that I was practicing, there wasn't as much interest. How do you hypnotize someone like myself who wants 100% control over myself? Actually, you know, they say the more control you're trying to have, the more you're resisting. Actually, pretty much the harder you fall. I know a lot of people like to say that they can't be hypnotized, maybe because they've gone to, you know, a stage hypnotist and maybe they were brought on stage, or maybe they were just one of those people in the audience and they were supposed to feel something, or, you know, whatever. Every person can be hypnotized because it's a natural function that literally every person has. But it takes the right person, and it takes the right language, because everybody processes information differently. So when I would have a client come to me, I would have to test their, we call it suggestibility, which is basically just how they process information. And then you kind of, from whatever you find out about them on the test, it's not like they're one thing or the other, it kind of lays on a scale, and then you know how to speak to them, and you can hypnotize anybody. But people that are resisting are kind of almost already in that fight or flight mode, which is what you're bringing somebody to in order to get them to fall into hypnosis. So I could get you. Thank you, April. Am I 100% better now? I wouldn't say I'm 100% better. I think the illness is gone, but just I'm like lethargic from being in bed, and like my muscles are weak from not being used, and my brain is mush from not being used. So I'm still, I would say I'm still recuperating, but definitely not sick anymore. Can I be hypnotized? Oh yeah, I can be hypnotized. My mom was actually a hypnotherapist, so I was her guinea pig for the first forever. Yeah, I could definitely be hypnotized. So it's not like this, you know, like a magic trick where once you know how it's done, it no longer can work on you. It can still very much work on me. Can some people not be hypnotized? Really, the only people that I would say couldn't be hypnotized would be somebody that had maybe heavy brain damage, where there wasn't a cognitive, like basically in order to be hypnotized, you have to understand language, and not that those people couldn't reach hypnosis in a natural way, but in order to have another person hypnotize you, basically the only requirement is that you understand language, and everybody can be hypnotized. Now my eye is twitching. Guys, what is going on? What is the basis for past lives? Why do you think some people have them? So I think that no matter whether you believe in past lives or not, past life regressions are very interesting, because in my opinion, I feel like they're real, because when you experience a past life regression, it is exactly like experiencing something in real life or remembering something that you went through. It doesn't feel at all like you're making anything up. There are a bunch of different reasons why I think that. And not only that, but there have been fact checkers that will go and look up what people claim to remember, and sure enough, these people existed and this situation existed, etc., etc. But even if you don't believe in past lives, when you do a past life regression, somehow the story always ends up being some kind of correlation to whatever you're going through now. And you can almost look at it as your brain making up a metaphor that can teach you something from a safe distance. So you're not looking at it so up close and personal. You know, it's a lot easier to look at somebody else's situation and say, okay, this is what this person needs to do to move on or correct this or whatever, or to watch a movie and feel that way. So in that way, it is therapeutic, whether you're doing it just for interest or not, because you will gain perspective. And you could say that that is happening because if you are, if you believe in karma and you've acquired karma, and there are certain things, certain fears, certain parts about your personality that you're working on fixing, getting over, making better, and if you don't fix them, life after life, well, guess what? I think you're going to take them with you. So I think it makes sense that people kind of have running themes, common themes throughout their past lives, whether, you know, no matter what the time period or where they are in the world or even off planet, you always tend to be kind of going through whatever it is. Also, I believe your subconscious is choosing those, because I believe we've got thousands of lives. And so the fact that we only see a few, and it always tends to just kind of correlate with whatever is happening in our lives, I think our subconscious knows to select particular instances, particular moments that we went through. And that's actually one of the suggestions that I would give my clients, is that their subconscious would go into kind of like a filing system and pull the exact right file that they needed to look at right now. And so it doesn't really matter if you believe in past lives or not. You can benefit from a past life regression because they are very therapeutic and just fascinating. Anything particular you took to get better, prescription or over the counter? Nope, just rest, matzo ball soup, and water, baths, basically liquid. Any alien abduction experience come up in past life regression sessions with you or clients? Interestingly enough, I had a past life regression done on me last year, I think. And that was my very first experience with something that would be considered extraterrestrial. And I don't know if that maybe, like I said, if your subconscious is choosing something that is going to be a learning experience for you in that moment, it probably knows better than to show you something that you're not prepared for or aren't going to really understand. So even if you have had, let's say, lives on other planets where you look like a completely different species, then your subconscious isn't going to pull from that memory, because if you're not prepared for it, you aren't going to see it. But, you know, now I look into all this stuff. I'm very heavily interested in aliens and all of that. And so I think that might be why, for the very first time, that came up, at least with me personally. And it also could explain why I wasn't having it with any of my clients either, because I don't think I had a lot of clients that were very open to the ideas of extraterrestrials and things like that. But in this experience that I had, it was, the hypnotherapist was having me walk into a room where I was seeing a bunch of shadows. And then one shadow would step into the light, and it would be a person, and then I would kind of get whisked away into their life, or my life, whatever. And in this particular scenario, I think we did 3 different life experiences that were all really interesting and gave me some really great perspective. And this last one, it was like this gray alien that stepped forward into the light. And really, this was the only one that didn't take me with it into another life or a different place. It literally just communicated to me, now you know, like, this is real. And that's at least what I got from it. So it wasn't there to give me the learning experience from the life. It maybe because it would have been too advanced for me to get, but just the presence of seeing that being, and I don't know if that was supposedly me in a past life or if that was just whatever. It's hard to say, but I thought that was really interesting. To do a past life regression on me, would we have to be in the same room, or can you help someone through it from a distance? So there are people that do telephone or video chat hypnotherapy, and there are people that do guided meditations into hypnotherapy. The thing about past life regression is you have to get somebody very deep, and the best way to get somebody to go that deep is to actually have a one-on-one with them, so that you're gauging them. Like I said, it's very important to understand exactly how that particular person communicates and processes information. So from a distance, I could gauge it, but I would be unable to pick up on certain cues and things like that. And the whole point is that you need a really good depth. I actually did do a guided meditation one time that I think I found on YouTube that had brought you into past life regression, and it actually worked really well for me. I've done others in the past that didn't work so well. Those can be tricky, but if you just happen to get the right kind of person and they're speaking to you the right way, it can work that way. So if you're interested, I would check online to see if you could find one of those guided meditations. I'll super chat to keep talking for the next 12 hours. Everyone call in sick. Okay, I love this topic. Let's talk about it all night. Love that. Do we have access to all our past live memories between lives? There is a book by, I want to go grab it. What is it called? I don't want to like walk out on you guys and have you guys just sit here and look at a blank thing, but there are books about life between lives and people's experience through hypnotherapy, and I love that subject, and that's kind of where I got the notion that we choose our lives, our plights, all of the things that we want to deal with. I think that there is a lot of evidence to that. I think that makes a lot of sense, but there are books about people that were able to bring somebody actually between lives and in their past life regression or just after death. In a typical past life regression, you kind of skip from moment to moment all of the important parts, and then you kind of take them through the death scene, we call it, and then after that, some people can have a moment or two of, seeing light or being greeted by somebody, or kind of maybe what happened to them when you die. But it's a fascinating subject. Dolores Cannon, I think, does talk about that, but no, I think it's called Journey to Truth. Let me look this up. It's by a man. It's not Dolores. Nope, Journey to Truth is the podcast. Journey to Truth is the podcast. But it is Journey to something. Journey to, let's see, life. I'm really good at Googling things, guys. Life between. Journey of Souls. Thank you very much. Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, PhD. So that's a good one. You guys are so good. Of course you guys would have it. Why do I ever Google anything? I should just sit here and wait. You guys are just delayed. You guys are behind me a little bit. So when I ask a question, it like takes a minute. But you guys are always so on top of it. Yeah, Journey of Souls. And then there's another one too, but I'll remember that for next time and we can talk about it. DuckDuckGo. I know. It is actually DuckDuckGo. It's just so much easier to be like, Google something than I'm going to go DuckDuckGo that. Have you ever tried to access the Akashic records? No, I haven't. But that's another interesting possibility, I guess you could say, with past life regression, is that, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, I was Cleopatra, or, you know, I actually did have one past life regression, and it was actually the one that I was just talking about that I did the guided meditation into it, where I was somebody of massive importance. And so you're always like, okay, well, of course, you know, like somebody's got to be, you know, the janitor from the school in 1962. But I think possibly some of those important lives, or maybe all lives, are accessible by all people. And maybe that's why so many people think that they were Cleopatra or, you know, whatever. Maybe we can just all access these lives somehow. But I don't know. It's fun to say duck it. I like that. That's good. Funny true story. I worked at Yahoo. They taught people not to say Google that. Yeah, it's a bad habit for sure. I'm a certified Akashic Records practitioner. Oh, that's really cool. Destiny of Souls is book number 2 by Newton. Yes, I have that one too, but I don't remember if I've read that one or not. That one's probably just collecting dust. I will get to it someday. I don't think you can access the Akashic Records through hypnosis. You have to earn access by increasing your vibration level. It takes a lot of meditation to do that. I mean, maybe yes, or I mean, I think that possibly if there's something that, you know, maybe not to just like go poke around and like see things, but if there's something that would be a benefit for you to see, something that maybe not just benefits you, but could benefit humanity or the people around you or whatever, in order for them to let you view that, then that would make sense to me. But what do I know? Law of one stuff there. Soul imprints explain why more than one person has access to a specific life in the past. Yeah, that makes sense. Since you started the show, 10,000 people have told you they were Cleopatra. Interesting. Yeah, but the one that I did, I don't even want to say who it is because it's just going to sound lame. It was so incredibly vivid. It was incredibly vivid. And I am no history buff by any means. I don't really think I knew anything about this person, but there were things that I was able to see and actually feel so clearly. One of the things was my relationship with my mother. And another thing was this sapphire ring that I had in my hand. And of course, as soon as I was done with that experience, I was like, oh, I'm going to duck it. I'm going to look this up and see what I can find out about this person. The very first thing I found out about them was that they had an unprecedented, not unprecedented, but for the time, a very close relationship with their mother. And the other thing I found was the sapphire ring that is in a museum that belonged to this person, which is almost exactly like what I saw. The stone was exactly like what I saw. The ring was a little bit different, but I guess it would make sense that maybe something could have, you know, it could have been reset. But it was just interesting to me that when I looked down, one of the things that they have you do is look down at your body, like look down at your feet and start to see your way up. So you're slowly kind of getting a view of yourself. And I actually happened to be naked because I was just about to go swimming, but except for I was wearing this ring and I saw it very clearly. And to my surprise, I was able to find it when I looked at this person online. So of course that was very eye-opening to me. I was like, oh, there must be something to this. Otherwise I would have been like, no way. My brain's just making things up. Adding change to the parking meter. I think I was Van Gogh in my past life. Oh yeah, I see you guys are talking about Roseanne Barr. I don't know how that subject came up, but I saw Roseanne was on Red Pill 78's channel. Was it last night? That's pretty awesome. She's a cool lady. Probably once all of this stuff breaks through, she will be the only actress that we have in anything because she's the only one that hasn't been despicable. And I would be okay with that because I really like her. I was a doctor in one and a fighter pilot in another. Not famous neither. Yeah, the last one before the alien, when I went and got hypnotized by that lady, was I was a man named Bruce, and it was the 60s or 70s, and I was basically like an outdoorsman, and I was camping a lot. I could see myself. I had kind of a reddish beard, and I had so much. I got so much enjoyment from nature, and that I never really connected with my fellow man. And that was kind of the life experience, kind of the takeaway from that life was at the end of my life where I'm in a hospital bed dying of, I don't even know what. I was kind of young, and you know, I could tell by the look of the hospital room about the time period. And the takeaway was kind of like, this life was kind of wasted because I never connected with my fellow man, and I never, I didn't have that balance. I never shared anything with another human being, and I was just very much a loner. So that's kind of like an example of what kinds of messages can come through. You guys are great. Well, my foot's falling asleep and I should probably get going. I just missed you guys so much that I don't even know how long I've been doing this now. Oh, 87 minutes. It's a pretty long time. I will be back next Tuesday, and God willing, unless I get the plague again. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks, you guys.